You see, what most people actually don't want to admit is that commitment actually isn't that scary. If anything, disappointment is. Before and afterwards, we be so scared of the results of our actions that we don't even get involved in them. So, in this video, I kind of just want to talk about, the different things that I've been observing and I've been seeing in the space correlating to this. And in particular, it's been showing up as situationships. We've all had our fair share. Situationships is more of just like a way for you to protect yourself. When you've been hurt in the past, when you've experienced disappointment on a deep level, you typically crave to feel that type of energy again. You want to be in that type of space again, but you don't trust yourself and the other person enough to actually get deep. So you're like, okay, I'm going to give this person, certain parts of me just to like give me like a small dopamine hit or like a small little boost of satisfaction. But I'm not actually going to allow myself to get vulnerable. I'm not going to allow myself to be real and, express myself and show my true depths of love, because the last time I did that, it got shitted on. It's kind of crazy. It's like we got into the space where we want connection without the risk of actually being in love with somebody. There's no way you're going to ever experience love without taking the risk first. The risk always comes before the reward. There's no way, I don't think, we're going to get to a point where we can actually build healthy relationships if we don't get to a point where we are willing to be embarrassed by the things that we want, like say the things that's on our spirit, say what's on our heart, be like, this is how I feel, this is what's up, and I want to see what comes from it. Because truthfully speaking, the more vulnerable you are and the more real you are with yourself, it's like a beautiful vetting process. It's like I just told one person how I felt and it just completely went over their head. I told the next person how I felt, and man, it was just like a pot of gold was right there. Like they was waiting for me to say that. It was waiting for me to be vulnerable. That's how I've been like testing my love recently. And it's been putting me in a lot of messed up predicaments, right? Because people, when they see emotions nowadays, they run from it because they're running from their own emotions. So as somebody who openly admits like, yeah, I'm emotional. I'm emotionally intelligent. I feel what's going on and I'm probably going to bring it up. People run from it, because they're like, just being around you is going to make me acknowledge my own emotions. So it takes 10 steps away, That's why people start getting into these things like these situationships and these friends with benefits and all this other type of stuff. But then, it's actually funny. Everybody that I've experienced that then, left for a toxic individual or a situationship or something like that, they didn't always double back because they didn't realize that it wasn't actually fulfilling them. At the end of the day, everybody wants love. Everybody wants that sense of fulfillment. Now, I think some of us just get to that point later in life, Some of us are actually okay with like going our whole 20s, even 30s, being solo dolo, doing our thing. Other people have been craving that type of connection since they were a kid. So I don't think there's no right or wrong way to go about this, but that's the space that we're in. We're just afraid of being let down again. And that dynamic feels so like depressing sometimes because when you're dealing with a lack of commitment, you typically start chasing after people who don't want commitment, right? And then it has like this push and pull dynamic where you want to go to the next level, but they are stalemating. And that's why these situationships happen, because it's like the person who doesn't want commitment still wants your energy. They still want to feel like they are needed or feel like they are wanted, but they don't trust themselves enough to actually get that deep into the relationship because they feel like either they gonna mess it up or the other person gonna mess it up. You feel me? But then the person who's on the receiving end of that, they're fishing for that commitment too, but they're not getting it because they're searching for love in places that love is not necessarily present. They, instead of letting go and being like, hey, I'm just going to go mess with the person who actually wants me. I'm going to go mess with the person who actually cherishes me. We attach ourselves to this person because we have this like ideology if we have to be loyal. We have to stay down. It's like when you have commitment issues, you also don't like being abandoned for real. You run from it because it's like, I know how it feels to be abandoned, so I'm going to commit and be extra loyal to the people that I run across because I don't want people to feel how I feel. But then that puts us in situations where people are using our energy and we're being loyal to situations and people notice that, so they abuse it. And they're going to keep hitting at your buttons. They're going to keep, kicking you while you down. They're going to keep, doing the BS because they know you don't want to let go. It's kind of interesting. It's like we got to the point where we want love as long as it doesn't cost us our emotions. Like we want to feel wanted. We want to be in environments. We want to be all hugged up, planning futures and all this other type of stuff as long as my feelings don't get involved. That don't make sense. That's never made sense. Which is why, like I've been saying, we are in these situationships and this hookup culture because we don't trust ourselves. We're scared to love. Just keeping it 100. Now, I think the sooner that we could probably, acknowledge we're scared of love, we'll probably start taking more risk on it. Like, you will never know if love exists in a space that you've never took the risk. You feel me? If you've never had the tough conversation, how would you know? If you never told the person, how would they know? How would you know? How would any of us know what's possible if we're moving from our hurt and our lack of, moving from the pain of the past? Like sometimes I'll be thinking like, man, I probably soulmates all around me, but I'm moving so much on my hurt. I don't even know how to operate. I don't even know how to go after them. I don't even know how to talk to them. Feel me? Like it's always something I'm conscious of because I'm aware of it too. You feel me? I'm 23. So even though I have the perspective, I have certain perspectives and certain wisdom, I'm still going through it too. I still have to learn along the process with y'all. I'm the student and the teacher. As long as a lot of y'all, you feel me? A lot of y'all got some wisdom and some game. But like I said before, we don't trust ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. We think our emotions is lying to us. We think we don't know no better because we're young and we think our emotions is childish when it's like, nah, sometimes you got to speak up. Sometimes you got to actually say what's on your spirit. Sometimes you got to say, I love you. Sometimes you got to hit them. Sometimes you got to hit them with that, I miss you. You feel me? Sometimes you got to you got to be a little simp. You feel me? And that ain't because you a beta or you just like a weak man or anything like that. That's called emotional maturity in my perspective. That's called knowing what you want. You feel me? I don't think a lot of us know what we want. My man, when you know what you want, it's not a lot of things that gets in between that. You go after it. So yeah, man, I think that's kind of it with that like subject right there. The situationships is really only happening because we don't trust ourselves. We're scared. We don't want to be let down. We don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to say how we feel and the other person not be on the same page. And we also don't want to get too deep and risk getting our heart broke like we did in the past. And we just feel like we're back at ground zero. Therapy will help. Letting go will help. Moving on will help. And experiencing new love definitely helps. Like I say in a lot of my videos, I think a crucial part of our healing journeys and our healing process is eventually getting into a new and better relationship that shows you something different, shows you a better perspective, shows you a different outlet. So then you have something to compare it to. Next time you're moving from a low energy or a low vibrational spirit, you can recall a time where you didn't feel like that. And then you lean on that. When I was, in love, when I actually was experiencing love, I was able to communicate. So let me test that over here too. So yeah, man, with that being said, I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Books is down in the description. I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Peace.